Out of respect for our princess, you may keep your lives. Now go!
Hey guys, welcome to my first ever unboxing video. I've never done something like this before, so I hope you find it helpful. First up, we have the art box with a unique design on each side with beautiful illustration work and a little about the character. Next up is the packing interior. Everything is protected in a premium black foam and stacked in 2 layers, so keep that in mind when lifting it to remove parts. In the bottom layer, we have a special slot where the edition card and stand are. Took me a second to get it out, but I love the custom artwork on the card. Now the base. I knew this thing would be big, but holy cow, it makes my hand look tiny. Underneath is a reflective edition sticker with an awesome silhouette of the statue in Maker's Mark. This thing was pretty heavy, so I couldn't hold it up for very long, but thankfully I have a turntable to make assembly easier. Before getting into it, I wanted to show the quality of the lightning effect pieces we'll be installing later. The resin is super clear and packed really well to prevent any breaks. There's 4 pieces total, but I only showed 3. I don't know about you guys, but Urbosa's Fury is probably my favorite champion ability in the whole game. First part of Urbosa is her legs with her iconic skirt and heels. There's a heavy steel rod and notch on the bottom of her feet that will securely hold her into place. It's hard to tell, but there's subtle shading throughout the folds of her dress, adding a little dimension. And as you can see on the back are a few holes where the rest of the jewelry will key into, and there's already some tack in there. You have to give it a little wiggle, but she keys in pretty easily to the base. Next are the wings that attach to the ankles of her shoes, with some small steel rods. They missed a little bit of the blue paint on mine, but I'll probably add that in myself later. Mine had some wiggle to them, so I added a little bit of tack to the end of the steel rods. And once you use a little effort to push them into place, you're good to go. Also, how in the world do the Gerudo wear heels in the sand anyway? Once you get everything into place, you can see some of the holes where the lightning effect pieces will key into later. Now that we have that situated, it's time to add the jewelry to the rest of her dress. Each piece does have its own unique shape of a notch, so it makes it pretty easy to figure out which one goes into which slot. Having that tack in there also helps make sure everything is secure. Speaking of accessories, now it's time to add another part of her belt. You'll see a notch on the inside that will slide into a hole on the back of her skirt. There's also a really small steel rod on the front where one of her embellishments will be attached later. Next up is her torso. I gotta say, I think at least once we've all wished we had abs like this, but the paint application is incredibly clean and the colors are very vibrant. There's just enough subtle shading to emphasize all of her muscle definition. Now that her torso is in place, it's time to finish her belt accessory. Again, paint application on this is really clean and the gold has some nice shine. Because the notch is pretty small, I would recommend using some tack to make sure it doesn't wiggle loose when we add the rest later. Now to get into some impressive craftsmanship. I can't believe they were able to sculpt every little jewel and place it into the shield itself. The end of her arm has a strong magnet that fits up into a notch of her shoulder. I had to sand off a little bit of the paint on mine just to make sure it had an extra strong connection. Now for her sword holding arm. Again, great muscle definition in paint. But let's take a look at this scimitar. The metal on this looks beautiful and definitely feels like real steel. I think they did a great job in casting the jewel, and it's very clean. The sword does have a little bit of give to it, which will be helpful later when we install her head and hair pieces. Also, I apologize for my lack of awareness with the camera. Her hair will come in 2 separate pieces, and this will be the first one to install later. The top part that attaches to her head has a steel rod, and the bottom a notch with a pinhole. This is the other part of her hair, where you can see there's another pinhole in which the jewel will fit into place. And that is how her hair stays together. And boop! Sorry guys, I couldn't resist. Her portrait is really well done, and I appreciate they captured that confident smirk for the badass that she knows she is. I also want to apologize in advance because this is the section where I wasn't super camera aware. Her hair keys in pretty easily into place, and since the sword has just enough bend, you don't have to worry about anything breaking. However, it does rest along the hair, so just be aware for paint. This is the small jewel with a steel rod that fits through the 2 pinholes on each piece of hair. If you have a second person that can kind of help you hold the bottom section, I would highly recommend it. I had to put a little bit of tack on the top section of hair in order to keep it from sliding out while I popped in the pin. Again, I apologize for my lack of camera awareness. Finally, it's time to install all the lightning effect pieces. Be a little careful with the one that goes by her back foot, as it does kind of fit around the fan on her shoe. The last lightning effect piece does have a small magnet in one of the ends and a steel rod, which adds a little bit of extra security since it's pretty big compared to the others. I genuinely had so much fun putting this together, and I can't wait to show you the final pieces. Here she is, Lady Urbosa in all of her glory. The statue also came with a beautiful double-sided custom artwork, and here's an amiibo for scale. Thank you again guys for watching this video, and I hope it's helpful for you when you get your first champion.